that particular scene I think you're referring to with the noodles, and
yes,
I ended up eating about 20 of those, 20 bowls, and then we broke for lunch, and the first said to me, you know, what do you want for lunch? It was like.
Never had a bucket to the side like Romans.
I think the characters are just a lot more settled where they are. They still don't like being in Slough House, but it's a lot more dangerous, this one.
So I spoke to both of you before Series 1 and talked kind of about how your characters are portrayed in the series. And looking into this series, there's still obviously a connection between Jackson and Catherine. How much did the two of you look into the novels or into how the story develops later on to inform how you play your relationship? And Catherine, I'll start with you.
I was also very excited to be working with Gary because he's been my peer for many years, and I've admired him for many years.
Go on to lady.
And so I was really glad to know that he was as interested as I was, that one rehearsal we were wondering about their drinking or how much they knew each other when she was working for Charles' partner, when he ran MI5 and all this. And it's just enjoyable to dig a bit deeper and also just to be able to, so when you walk on set together, you've shared something, you've shared an experience, that you're not just going cold into a scene, because these two they must have known each other for years, you know. He knows what Catherine was like when she was a drunk, and you know what she was like in the bar afterwards at 11, or you know, I mean, no, I won't go there, but yeah, hugely important. And for me, I had the luxury of these 6 books to start with, of working out who this person is. And I love complicated characters, and I'm very fond of her as a character. I have a huge, I love playing her. I love being her. I like that she's there in the story. I like that she's this grey-haired woman that people will take complete no notice of, and then she'll come out with something, you know, interesting or interested. She's interested.
Yeah.
Like in the season 1 when she pulls a gun. Well, you know, they're silently communicating with each other. She pulls a gun, and then he says, "You surprised me, and how did you know how did you know about my wife?" And I said, "Because I have to buy them for you." And in that interchange, a whole history has sort of opened up.
Yeah.
And Gary,
when an agent dies, everything has to be considered.
He left a note on his phone. Cicada.
Sleeper agents embedded in British society.
We called them dead lions.
Lamb, I do not need you digging around the past.
Maybe the cicadas have been reactivated and maybe more people are going to die.
I'm putting you in the field. What? It's exciting.
So when I spoke to you before Series 1, the big thing with River is that he's been relegated to this role that he just despises. And now in Series 2, trying to get out of it at the beginning, but seems to be a little bit more motivated to be in the field. Do you think that this character is as good of a spy as he thinks he is, or do you think he kind of overestimates his abilities?
I do think he's as good as he thinks he is, but I don't think that he is the only one who's good. And I think he's going to slowly start realizing that. But it plays such a huge part in that world, I think, where they all think they're the smartest person in the room. And they quite often are, I think, in the real world of intelligence. So no, it's a really lovely place to work from, where everybody just presumes they're better than each other. It's quite funny.
And it's interesting because when you're watching things like Mission Impossible or any of these tons of series and films out there about spies, everybody's got their skill set and they're really good. And it feels like these characters are all really good in certain ways, but they've been underestimated. Do you think that this second series, brings more of that to the forefront?
Yeah, I enjoy that they're not ridiculously gifted, you know, and it's far more relatable. And what I imagine they are like in real life, you know, their sort of tech skills or their combat skills, all this kind of stuff. I think it's more their initiative is what I think they're probably employed for, and their out of the box kind of thinking. and that's what I like about River, is that it's not that he's the complete spy, but I think it's that he just wants to be very, very good. And I think it's not necessarily for king and country, it's just for him.
And River's got a familial connection to being a spy and in the intelligence community. Did you get additional information by reading the additional novels ahead of time to inform how you played the character, or did you just stick with each series on its own?
I tried to stick with just the scripts, and then I started reading the books after we were making it. And it's really lovely to see even direct dialogue that's made it from the book straight into the seasons. So no, they're you have to be careful with them to not inform it too much, because there's things they have to change. And also, I just don't want to be disappointed, if there's something in the book that didn't make it in,
And what do you think is the biggest difference between this series compared to the first one?
I think the characters are just a lot more settled where they are. They still don't like being in Slough House, but they're kind of making their peace with it to a certain extent. And the mission, so to speak, is incredibly clear and very dangerous. It's a lot more dangerous, this one.
Definitely, and it's such a fun series. I love the first one. The second one is even better, and I know that there's going to be 2 more coming, so I can't wait to see more from you on the series, and congratulations.
Great, thanks very much.
Be careful, River. The Russians have an incredible capacity for pain and sacrifice. And grudges. We had a traitor right at the top.
Thousands of people, they're gonna die.
Paperwork's gonna be a ball ache.
I want the professional humiliation of you and your team.
My team have already humiliated themselves. That's why they're my team.
Yeah.
And Gary, I have to ask, this may be the dumbest question anybody's ever asked you, but I gotta ask it. Your character does a lot of eating in this series, and there's some jokes early on about how disgusting it is. What's more difficult, delivering these really brutally mean one-liners, or eating in a disgusting manner that makes other people uncomfortable?
Well, they're both pretty. I enjoy both, actually. But the thing is with eating is that you don't ever just eat it once. That particular scene I think you're referring to with the noodles. And,
yes.
I ended up eating about 20 of those, 20 bowls. And then we broke for lunch. and the first said to me, "Are you what do you want for lunch?" It was like.
Never had a bucket to the side like Romans do, and
yeah.
But we were doing a scene recently in a set, and there were sandwiches and flapjacks and things, and you very cleverly said to the writer, "Can we involve this food? I'm going to try and steal a flapjack, and I'm going to try it." So we had a few days to slightly rework something to show again that Jackson was this sort of hoarder.
Well, you never get this in, obviously, you don't get this in Bourne or James Bond. You come into a situation which is, a situation which is intense and already, on a scale of 1 to 10, already, up there. And the first thing I do is actually, look for the food. As by way, as a sort of almost as casually as an aside,
and as a wind up as well,
and as a wind up,
and also because he can have a snack later when he's feeling a bit peckish.
I have the odd Jaffa cake underneath there.
Do you think I was just thinking, my mother was a child during the Second World War, and her relationship to food is she was living in occupied Holland. And her relationship to food is really different to most people's. I wondered if that was the same with Jackson. You see, there I am going on trying to find a cast reason.
Yeah.
You can be part of season 3. Well, I really appreciate your time. The series is phenomenal. I can't wait to see what comes next, and congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That's